Can Ohio State run it back in 2025? And what coaches have had to say anonymously inside the Big Ten? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Ohio State has enough to run it back in 2025 and to win the Big Ten championship for the first time since 2020? I'm also going to take this opportunity to remind you we got an audio podcast on Apple and Spotify, and you guys have been doing a really great job of helping us out here, and truly, it's about you. So go to Apple, go to Spotify, subscribe to the podcast there, leave a 5-star review, and if you leave a 5-star review at Apple and Spotify, hit that description, look for the link to a form where you can fill it out, and I will personally send you one of these stickers and a thank you note because it's that important to me. We're fast approaching 400 ratings on Apple, and I would really love to get there before the end of June. We've got a few days left. Please help me out with that. We're right there on the edge of getting to 100 on Spotify. So if you got some time, please take it, use it on Spotify, use it on Apple, and let me know in the form below. Give me an address, and I will write you that letter, send you this sticker. So does Ohio State have enough to run it back in 2025? I think the answer is, well, yes, but we're also talking about an Ohio State program doing something it has never done in its history. 14 programs have won back-to-back national championships, and that feat has become increasingly rare the longer that we have played the sport. As a matter of fact, in the 21st century, only Alabama and Georgia have been able to run it back in the college football playoff era. And in the BCS era, we're really talking about USC, right? Bama. I think what we're asking of Ohio State is to do something that we know it's capable of and to check one more box on what is one of the best programs in all of sports. Forget college football. Add this one to your resume and then give us a 2026 where we can talk about you being only the second three-peat champion since 1935 when Minnesota pulled this feat, but it was voting in. They didn't actually have to play through anybody. We have a playoff now. It's the hardest way to win a national championship there's ever been. And the hardest road that we've ever had just took place last year, and Ohio State managed to come out on top by hell and high water. I did a segment going into this. They burned the ships when the playoff began because they knew they couldn't go home without a championship. And that's how they played the rest of the way. So whatever the coaches in that league had to say anonymously to Athlon Sports, well, they kind of agree with me. The first quote is, year in and year out, this is the most talented program in the league and one of the most talented in the nation. The question every season is just, can they arrange that talent the right way? And I think there's something to that Ohio State fans will feel, because if you're thinking about how the offensive line folded out last year, it didn't go according to plan. You lost the star transfer at center in Seth McLaughlin. You lost the star transfer at left tackle in Josh Simmons. You had to move an All-American guard and Donovan Jackson out to left tackle. You had to ask guys that had been demoted down the roster to come back and play like starters. And you needed them to do it at the end of the season just to get into the playoff. Because people forget, if Ohio State doesn't beat Indiana like a drum, maybe that loss to Michigan matters a little bit more. Maybe they get left out, let alone don't get to host a playoff game. But they did. They beat Tennessee like they stole something. And then they beat Oregon like they stole something. And they beat Texas. And they beat Notre Dame, and they won the national championship. Next quote is, whoever wins the quarterback battle has one of the best receiving rooms in the country. It's true. It's just true. I don't think there's a better receiver room in the country. Brian Hartline has done this with recruiting. It's why he's getting, once again, promoted to offensive coordinator. But this time, he's going to be calling the plays. Because you got Jeremiah Smith out there. You've got Carnell Tate out there, Brandon Ennis. And then you can go to Mylan Graham. You can go to Quincy Porter. You know, you can keep going down the list of guys that they have at their disposal that can go out and get it as receivers, which is wild because this is not a program that has produced a ton of great wide receivers up until Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I was doing a segment about how there'd only been 2 first-round selections at receiver since 2007, all the way up until we saw Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson break that, right? People point to Michael Thomas being great. Yeah, he was, but he was a second-round pick, and you can keep going down the line. Hey, KJ Hill was great, 7th-round pick. I mean, I can keep picking on guys, and I don't want to keep doing that, but the point is, you were not a receiver team. You were a basketball on grass team. You were a running back and option quarterback team. Then Dwayne Haskins comes along, and he's throwing passes like that. But even so, you're not first-round picks coming out that till later. So you're talking about really Anthony Gonzalez and Ted Ginn Jr. holding everybody's water between 2007 and basically 2019, 2020, or 2021. Forget when those guys graduated. I remember I'm a high school recruiting guy at heart. So if you tell me Garrett Wilson 2019 class, I remember, right? Also a dude that famously was playing high school football in Texas, had committed to Ohio State and said, because I want to be developed. And I don't think people understood how true that statement was going to be for everybody coming through. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a great player coming through, ends up being one of the better wide receivers that program has ever produced. The defense is stocked. Defensive tackle might be their question mark, but they're going to dominate in league play. This is really backing Matt Patricia, right? This is, hey, we realized with the changing out the defensive coordinator, we realized that we lost Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, and others to the NFL draft, but this is Ohio State. You've got the guys, right? You've got Narvell Reese, who I think is going to have a really big year. You've got a Caleb Downs, who is the best defender in the entire sport. And you're going to be able to plug and play at other places on that defense because the recruiting has been so good and the coaches have been so good at developing. I mean, nobody argues that Larry Johnson Sr. is the best defensive line coach in the Big Ten, maybe the best defensive line coach in the entire country. Nobody argues that. We're not talking about James Laurinaitis' linebacking crew. We're not talking about Tim Walton and his defensive backs, right? Or Matt G and his safeties. Those guys are going to have it. It's can Matt Patricia not screw up what is already a very fast car? Because, yeah, a driver can't make a car faster, but a driver can put a fast car into the wall, right? The last one I wanted to point out was this one about the coaching staff. The resilience of Ryan Day and his staff is really, really remarkable. I don't think they get enough credit from the public for how they managed the playoff run after losing to Michigan. The calls for his job were absolutely ludicrous. Do they need to beat Michigan? Yeah, sure. But this program is at the very top of the sport because of the head coach. That last sentence is probably going to stick in the craw of some Ohio State fans because there are still those that don't believe that Ryan Day has done enough with his team. But there are also people that believe that Urban Meyer should have won at least one more championship given the kind of talent that he had, given the kind of team that ended up in the NFL, right? I think Ryan Day has an opportunity to join the ranks of not just what he's done, right? One of the best Ohio State head coaches ever, won a championship, something John Cooper could never do, right? But he is also has an opportunity to become immortal in the sport. You double up. You become one of these teams that wins back-to-back championships. We talk about you forever. Kirby Smart's there. Nick Saban's been there. Pete Carroll is there, right? People talk about that vacated championship. I'm like, hey, I saw him win it. I saw him win it. Hang the banner, dog. That's where he's headed if he can do this. And that's why they're paying him $12.5 million. And to do it in this day and age with transfer portal, with name, image, and likeness, with immediate transfer, with having to manage a roster year in and year out, it's never been more difficult. And the stakes have never been more high at a place like Ohio State to go win. Because that's just it. You're not going to get the credit that, say, Spencer Danielson does at Boise State because we already gave you a fast car. It's like jumping into Max Verstappen's Red Bull and not scoring points, which is something that Red Bull drivers do. You look at them and you go, okay, you're the problem because we know this car's fast enough to go score. Or you look at Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. That McLaren is the fastest car on the grid. Somehow, Oscar always seems to finish ahead of Lando. Why is that? Better driver, right? You have to prove now that you're a better driver if you're Ryan Day. And I think he did that last year. I really do. I think the loss to Michigan it sucks. And he never wants to have a losing record against Michigan on his resume. But that's what it is at this point, right? Now, you got to get that win. You got to get the Big Ten championship. And you got to win the national championship, which means that the Texas game, you could lose it. I mean, nobody wants you to, but you could lose it. But if you win against Michigan, you win the Big Ten championship, you win the national championship, nobody cares, right? That said, I think you're going to have to beat that team going away for us to talk well about you the rest of the way. And that, with Ohio State fans is all about, hey, we know who we're supposed to beat. We know how much we're supposed to beat them by. Your job is to make us right. It's tough up there. But that's what happens when they come to expect you to be great, because you can't be.